Hello and welcome to a little bit more Imperator Rome news. This I'm talking about the Cicero update and also some other stuff that's been going on the forums. I've been much more active on the forums recently, so I can bring you all of the juicy little good stuffs. Anyway, to start with, let's go with the Twitter teasers. The first one, not really primarily a Twitter teaser, but it was also posted on the forums, so I'm just going to post it from there. So, hello. Boom, here we go. So, one of the major frustrations with the handling of loyalty in the game is the fact that it's not possible to disband the army you don't want or can't afford just because it's loyal to a commander. So, in the Cicero update, it will be changed so that you'll now be able to disband armies even if they have loyal cohorts to a commander, as long as the commander is not disloyal. Each loyal cohort disbanded will add one veteran cohort to the commander. Veteran cohorts are hidden potential cohorts for the commander that will increase his power base like normal cohorts, but won't exist as actual units. When and if a character rebels, they will convert all veteran cohorts into real cohorts at the location of the commander. And as you can see here, disbanding the First Legion will make them lose that many men from 26 cohorts. They'll have to pay them that much money. And then there are 15 cohorts that are loyal to a character in this army. They'll become loyal veterans attached to that character and will increase his power base. So, what do I think of this system? I actually really like it. I think it's great. I can't see any problems with it whatsoever. I think one of the most irritating things in the game right now is when you have these, I think there's like 3 events to do it, where your armies that are, say, pure light cavalry, because I love pure light cav armies, say they siege or they sack a city that was quite populous, maybe it wasn't defended by a fort, and you get that event, it's like, gives you, I think 5 light infantry. Maybe they're liberating something and then you get 5 light infantry. I can't remember what the exact event is. But it completely ruins the structure of the army that you wanted. There's another one where it's this commander will get 5 cohorts of a random type. And I really don't like those events right now. Because yeah, it slows down my light cav army, because now he has to hold up and wait for the slow ass light infantry and you can't disband them. So I think this system is going to be invaluable for that specific scenario. I think that's going to be hugely influential in how I play the game, especially considering now it doesn't say anything about the commander losing loyalty for you disbanding those troops, and if that stays that way, then it's much better to just accept the troops and then disband the ones that you don't want. Because right now, those 2 events, if you decide to not take the extra troops that are going to screw with your system, I think one of them has a 40 loyalty hit, which is kind of insane. I think there's one that has a 10 loyalty hit and there's one that has a 20 loyalty hit as well. So yeah, being able to get around that is going to be hugely important. It's going to be great. So I'm looking forward to that one. Right, let me just quickly check if there's any dev responses that we can have a look at. I don't think there was last time I looked. Oh, there is. Are you planning to expand visual models for various units in the future, like cavalry being actual cavalry? Why can I not say cavalry now? War elephants being elephants and everything like this. Not in 1.2, unlikely in 1.3, but someday. And yeah, Johan wants them. I think I've seen him say this before. He would love to have more unit models on the map. Just a quick explanation, or at least what I think the explanation is why it's not in. Of course, I would also love to see that, but I think the reason why it's not in is because of the way that the armies are fighting when you engage them in combat. You have the animation between the 2 soldiers, and it's not just a, thrust your spear forward into the air and back again, and a bit like in EU4 where it's just a cavalry charging forward and they're not interacting with the other unit model. In this, they're actually hitting each other's shield, punching each other, stabbing each other, kicking each other, all that kind of stuff. And to have more unit models in that way is a hell of a lot of animation. If you add, say, a horseman there, light horse and heavy horse, they could probably have the same animation, so we'll take that as one. Now you have to have them fighting an infantryman in a way that is quite balanced. Otherwise you could see, if it's not balanced and you see the infantryman kick the crap out of the horseman, but the actual battle is the horses are kicking the crap out of the infantry, that's going to be quite off. So you have to have it balanced, and having that for horse, that's probably possible. You could have the horse standing still and rearing up and thrusting spear and all that kind of stuff, fine. But then how do you do archers? How do you do chariots? How do you do elephants? And then you have to have elephants versus horses, and elephants versus archers, and archers versus horses, and it's just every single model that you add to this just adds an exponential amount of, or not an exponential, I don't know what the word is, it probably is square cube law or something like that, amount of animations. That's why I think they didn't do it. Of course, I would still like to see it. I would like that effort to be put in to make it. Even if it's not every single unit, I think just some key ones, horses being the big one for me. I'm not really too bothered about elephants. I don't really use them all that much, but I'm sure some people would like to see that as well. But yeah, it'd be nice. It would be nice to see more animations, and of course Johan agrees there as well, doesn't he? Moving on to the next Twitter teaser. This one is just on the on Twitter. Fun little change we've done for the Cicero update for Game Imperator, and claim fabrication progress by plus 3.2% each month. Yeah, so claims are no longer, it seems, instant click get claim. That's not a thing anymore. How this works, no idea. Not a clue how it works. Whether it is a character that you're sending over to fabricate a claim, whether it is just something that ticks up as soon as you spend political influence. I mean, if this is your political influence, it is the first of the month. Sorry, first day of the game. So it could be that it's cost him 9 political influence to start the claim. It could be that it's cost him 59 to start the claim. It really, I don't know. It's impossible to tell right now. But yeah, those are the effects. Although those are the changes that are coming to claim fabrication. And again, if it's done well, I kind of like it. I don't like that it's an instant click, get a claim, blah blah. It's crap. So having it be something that takes some time, that's fine. That's absolutely fine by me. Like I said, just as long as it isn't just a open diplomacy menu, click a button and now it's ticking up. I'd like there to be some interaction. I'd like there to be something to do with the characters in there somewhere. Having, like in E4, you've got your diplomats that get sent to build a spy network and then you can get the claim. Something like that would be really nice. Especially spy networks. I don't know if they make sense for this time period, but the fact that you can see every single thing to do with the country in even in the ledger, it's fine, but in the diplomacy screen, you can see absolutely every single minutiae detail. And I don't like that. So having some kind of spy network that would grow that, and maybe when you get to a certain point, you can say, oh, this is mine. Maybe it doesn't fit the period, but gameplay-wise, I think that would be quite nice. I think period-wise, I think the War Council does enough in that regard to getting claims that way. But either way, that's another Twitter teaser. And now we go on to something else. Actually, no, before we go into something else, I just want to make a comment on my previous video where I had that rant. I'm not saying, and I don't think I did say, that if you don't like the game, don't talk about it. That's not what I meant. What I meant was more along the lines, and honestly, it's what I think I did say. If you're going to have criticism, make it constructive criticism. Attacking developers, attacking Paradox, just saying, making a bullshit about them, basically, I don't find any value in that. And honestly, I'd prefer to not see it. If you have some valid criticism, some constructive criticism, even if it's just, I don't like this, that's still better than what I've seen. I was responding to a very specific comment, and a lot of the comments I've got on the video are basically me or making out that I was extending that rant about everybody who doesn't like the game, and that's just not true. So anyway, with that out of the way, let's move on. How Paradox is rebuilding Imperator Rome, in an article on PCGamer, and this is a interview, I guess, with Johan. So this came out 8 days ago. I saw it a few, maybe 3 or 4 days ago, but I didn't make any comment on it just yet. So I'm just going to go through the quotes. So it's been completely different to what we've experienced before, says Johan. After a string of successful launches and a build-up that involved countless dense developer diaries and streams, he was expecting players to just take to it like they did his last game, EU4, but it didn't happen. I'm gonna say I don't really think that he should have expected players to take to it just like they did, but we're gonna go over that in the next picture as well, because there's something interesting there. But there was quite a lot of dissent on the forums before the game came out, especially on the topics of mana, the single console, pop types and building types, if I remember rightly. Post-launch was not all that fun for me personally, he said. There were multiple times during the month where I was like, fuck this shit, I'm quitting the industry. It was like, I don't know how to make games anymore, I should just retire. And that really kind of made me quite sad, because I don't think that he should. I think he's still a great game developer. I think he just misread the audience just this time. I think he took the wrong lessons from EU4's success. EU4 was the first game that had mana, and it was wildly successful, but I think he took that to mean that mana was the reason for its success, so he expanded upon that, and I think that was clearly a mistake. Feels like he was honest about what Imperator was going to be, and I agree with him there. I think he was. A lot of user reviews and criticism has been focused on what it isn't. DLC also crops up a lot in complaints, which is completely brain dead in my opinion. Though Paradox is yet to announce any, hence why it's brain dead. Yeah, so there's lots of negatives. Doesn't really account for the amount of negative feedback, however, and it would be unfair to characterize all or even most of Imperator's reviews and forum discussion as misunderstandings. Several issues have been echoed pretty consistently, including Monarch Power, nicknamed Mana, and being able to make instant direct actions instead of subtly influencing the world. These are among several things being completely redesigned by Paradox. It has its one-year plan, which we've already gone over, and talking about the Pompey update, etc, etc. Talking about Mana, it was one of the first features we talked about, and it was quite heavily disliked, I think, at the time, if I remember rightly. And it worked in the game, and it's a nice balanced system. I don't understand why people want to buy a game that has a major core feature they don't like. Well, if the customers want something different, we'll just have to change the game to do that. I will say that not everybody who bought the game read the dev diaries. So part of it, I think, is people didn't know that you talked about it. Part of it is people knew that there was mana in EU4, and they still played it and they still enjoyed it. I'm one of those. I can't stand mana. I think it's a terrible system, yet I still enjoy EU4. So I went into this expecting something along the lines of, oh, it's got mana again. Well, that's a disappointment, but I'm still going to enjoy the game else in other ways. That's what I was expecting, and I thought maybe there would be mods that would get rid of it. That's where I stand. But yeah, I don't really agree with this quote here. I think that people are still going to buy your games regardless, even if they really hate mana. It's a Paradox game, and you've got a community that is quite loyal, let's be fair. So yeah, that's what I see from that. Despite his disappointment, he believes that the results in a far better system, one that represents a game-wide shift in how you play. This is the change, rather than talking about the mana. Instead of mana, you'll generate political influence based on how loyal the movers and shakers in your nation are. If your nation is full of treacherous nobles that hate your guts, you might find your hands tied and your influence curtailed. You'll have to work harder to keep people happy and make extra efforts to avoid civil war, and what influence you will have will be less direct. Cool. Yeah, we've already gone over that. What we've done is basically changing the abstract currencies to logical currencies, and these currencies or resources, which still include things like gold and manpower, will be used to nudge things over time. I quite like his definitions now. I really, really hate it when you are having a discussion with somebody about, maybe I don't like mana, and they bring up, oh, but gold and manpower, these are manners as well. And it's like, no, it's not. No, it's not. That is a stupid argument. It proves that you do not understand what people's problem with mana is, and you have no place in this discussion until you understand. And as people have explained it at length multiple times, then I'm just going to have to presume that it is willful ignorance or intentional idiocy. So yeah, that's where I stand on that. So I quite like that he's changed the definitions here to being abstract currencies and logical currencies. Every currency in the game is abstract to some degree. The degree of which is what I think classifies it as mana. There is a line. The line changes for most people. It's not just a fixed line that is easy to spot, but it does change. The ones closest to the line that are still, in my opinion, not mana are things like prestige and piety in CK2. Manpower and gold are so far away from the line that it's ridiculous that anybody could have him cross it. But I could understand why people would have prestige and piety cross that line. Anyway, moving back to the bloody article. God damn it, sidetracked again. The shift away from abstract systems extends your population too. Another complaint was how migration and converting pops was as simple and uninvolved as hitting a button and spending a resource, but eventually it's going to happen more organically. The goal is to make it feel more like a simulation, that you've got the powers of a ruler rather than a god. Yes, please. This is what I want from the game. But this is interesting as well. So, at the moment we do have the governor policies, but I don't think that's entirely organic. I'm thinking this might possibly mean that things will happen even if you don't choose a policy to change it, and I really, really hope that it does. Having pops move around, change culture, change religion, all that kind of stuff, without you having to change a policy would be kind of awesome. And policies, if they were more akin to what maybe real world policies would be, that would be pretty cool too. Like, yeah, I'd very much like to see something along those lines. We'll see the changes in September when the Cicero update happens, and right now it's being tested internally. He says the new powers and pop mechanics are already making the game feel more balanced with more strategic choices. The feedback from players has been hard to hear, but it's making the game better. Wish we'd thought about these things earlier. I think I took the wrong lessons for EU4. Yep, totally agree with that. He thought abstract resources resulted in a better balanced game, but people have taken such a strong dislike to mana that he's had to rethink things. He still believes that Imperator is a big step up from what Imperator 4 was, Europa Universalis 4 was at launch. However, that doesn't matter to him if the players don't feel the same way. I want it to be a game that has a large community playing it and enjoying it. I don't really care about exactly what features are in, because the ideas are cheap and execution is everything. This has been misinterpreted, I feel, quite heavily on the forums. There's a lot of people thinking he doesn't care about anything as long as he's got a lot of people playing it, and I don't think that's really accurate, because to want a lot of people playing it means that you want a lot of people enjoying it, because people aren't enjoying it, they're not playing it. So of course, if you want a lot of people playing it, then you want them to enjoy it, and you want them to enjoy it by making a bloody good game. That was a mouthful. But yeah, it's like he doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter to him really what aspects people like. He's going to work to put things in that people like, even if it's not his vision, I guess. Which in a way is a bit sad because, of course, this was his baby and it should be what he wants it to be. But at the same time, if you want people to play it and you want people to enjoy it, your vision is a little bit outdated. But anyway, that is the PCGamer article, and there's a few things inside here that I want to, in the forum discussion around it, that I want to go over as well. So first off is this. The best you can do with a mass amount of anger is tally up the amount of people who are angry and get a sense of the anger. Real feedback is when the consumer tells you what they didn't like or ways to improve the game. There's a place for anger as long as it doesn't get out of control. I don't agree with this. No, whatever. But that's not the important thing. The important thing is here. So, because Johan led the team, was the face of the dev diaries initially, it gets directed at him rightly or wrongly. Again, it's all my personal feelings because of the way he responded to people in those dev diaries and the things he has said, which have been quoted multiple times in this thread, I feel more rightly than wrongly, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, Johan is very unfiltered on the forums. It's come across quite a few times, and I'm sure there's pictures in this thread just quoting him. Things like, I don't give a fuck about the AI. Things like somebody was complaining about mana in an old dev diary, and his response was, I don't think you'll like our games from now on then. Oh, really? Yeah, that didn't work out, did it? Anyway, but yes, he is very unfiltered on the forums. But his response to this is here, and it is quite eye-opening, I think. So this is that same comment. The problem when you have been doing these types of games rather successfully for over 20 years and are used to having people complain on the forums for most features you post about, you tend to dismiss complaints about features they have not tried. And he'll go on to elaborate on that. So someone replies to him, I wondered if you'd be following this thread. Could you elaborate on your post? I think I've missed something. His elaboration was, when you're successful for a long time, you tend to think you know best at all times. And this is quite a new level of introspection, let's say. He's looked at the entire situation and saw that he is perhaps, I don't know how to really word this, but he's looking at it as like, maybe I'm not right all the times, maybe people have a point. And I think that's I don't really want to put words in his mouth or feelings in his head or whatever. Feelings in his heart, I don't know. But it certainly feels like he's had a period to just like self-reflect and see that he's not right about everything, and maybe people complaining about something, maybe they're right sometimes as well, you know? But I definitely have a lot of respect for Johan for realizing this. This is a level of self-awareness that I don't think we've seen from Johan before. So I've got quite a lot of respect for him for this specifically. I've got respect for him otherwise as well, but this specifically is very respectable. But anyway, that's pretty much all I've got for you guys today. So I've got, what, 24 minutes of rambly bullshit. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to click the like button. Please do let me know about your thoughts in the comment section below. I do read every comment, even if they are calling me an asshole, which has happened frequently, and it is not untrue. Anyway, please do leave your thoughts in the comments, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.